Have you felt that time doesn't work anymore the same way? As if the days pass too fast or certain moments seem to last eternity? If this is happening to you, it may be a sign that your conscience has already surpassed the limits of three-dimensional reality. What's more, those coincidences that are arising more often, that intuition that seems to be screaming inside you, none of this is by chance. The truth is that there is a transition happening, and not everyone is realizing. While many still live trapped in the logic of the material world, some people have awakened to a level of existence where time, space, and reality itself work in a completely different way. But how do you know if you are one of them? How to recognize the clear signs that your consciousness is already operating in a high vibration, aligned with the fifth dimension? Prepare yourself, because what you will find out now can completely change the way you see your life. Throughout this video, I will show you the undeniable signs that you are already experiencing this spiritual transformation, and what to do to further expand this connection with the universe. But first, it tells me, lately, do you feel that something is different, as if reality is trying to show you something bigger? The fifth dimension is not a physical place, but a state of consciousness where the perception of time expands, revealing the coexistence of the past, present and future. Imagine living without the anxiety of what is coming or the weight of what has happened. That's exactly what happens when consciousness rises. Multidimensional reality reveals itself as a continuous cosmic flow, where each moment unfolds perfectly and synchronized. It's like watching a movie, but instead of seeing scene by scene, you understand the whole story at once. At this expanded level of perception, everything is no longer just cause and linear effect and becomes a great field of possibilities. Intuition strengthens itself, and the signs of the universe become evident, as if life is constantly whispering subtle directions. Think about when you feel you need to call someone, and at the very moment this person sends you a message. Coincidence? In fact, they are synchronicities that indicate that their high vibration is in harmony with the spiritual energy of the universe. Upon realizing this new dynamic, the concept of time dissolves like ice in the sun. Hurry loses meaning, and the manifestation of desires occurs with more fluidity, as there is no mental resistance that disturbs. Reality begins to respond directly to your conscience, and what once seemed distant becomes palpable faster. But this spiritual transformation does not happen overnight. She requires self-knowledge, delivery, and a deep connection with the universe. And that's exactly where the expansion of consciousness comes into play. When consciousness expands, the separation between me and another dissolves, revealing the deep interconnection between all things. This spiritual awakening causes the perception of reality to change completely. Suddenly, small details of everyday life begin to make sense in a way that once went unnoticed. The sunset is not just a visual spectacle, but a reminder that we are inserted in a perfect cosmic flow. People are no longer isolated individuals and are reflected from ourselves, mirroring our learning and challenges. This state of consciousness also brings an impressive sense of synchronicity. The answers that were previously sought in books or advice now arise spontaneously, as if the universe were whispering directly to the soul. Have you ever been through that situation you think of something and soon after you see a video or listen to a conversation exactly about this subject? This is not chance, it is the spiritual energy guiding its way. Intuition becomes the compass, and the choices are no longer based only on logic, making room for decisions aligned with a greater truth. But this expansion does not happen without challenges. Often old beliefs are limiting emerge, questioning this new look at life. The material world still tries to attach attention, but something inside you already know that there is something beyond. This transition can generate moments of doubt, but once the process is started, there is no way back. The mind restructures itself, the perception of time transforms, and multimedial reality becomes increasingly evident. And with this new vision, even deeper perspectives arise about existence. When consciousness expands, the perception of time, space and existence itself changes radically. What once seemed rigid and absolute now reveals itself as something fluid, moldable, almost as a lucid dream where you can navigate with intention. That sense of urgency, of running against the clock, gives way to a deeper understanding of the now. It is no longer a question of waiting for the right moment, but of realizing that every moment already carries everything that is necessary for spiritual transformation. And when this perception is installed, life is no longer a sequence of random events and unfolds as a great mosaic of synchronicities. This understanding goes beyond theory and begins to manifest in practice. Imagine that you are late for an important commitment and, on the way, an unexpected delay happens, but, instead of frustration, you feel that everything has a purpose. Suddenly, waiting for a few more minutes, you find someone who brings essential information to a project or an opportunity that changes everything. These coincidences, seen from a three-dimensional look, seem luck or chance, but in fact they are a reflection of their new high vibration, adjusted to the cosmic flow. And this expanded perception is not limited to time, but also to the very structure of reality. What once seemed solid and unchanging now presents itself as a constant energy field. The barriers between the physical and the subtle begin to undo, and intuition becomes the true guide. This changes the way it interacts with the world, as decisions are no longer based only on what is visible and take into account what is felt. And it is precisely at this point that emotions gain a new level of intensity. When consciousness expands to the fifth dimension, emotions are no longer only automatic reactions and become compass to the inner journey. Empathy intensifies, making it impossible to ignore the pain of the other, as it becomes felt as part of itself. Unconditional love is no longer an abstract concept and manifests itself in small daily interactions, a comprehensive look, a spontaneous hug, a word of support. Human connections deepen because they are based on spiritual energy and not just passing interests. This new sensitivity, however, can also be challenging. The person who enters this state realizes that he can no longer hide his feelings or mask his emotions. If something is not aligned with your high vibration, it manifests itself as immediate discomfort. Relationships that previously seemed bearable now become unsustainable, and situations that were once tolerated are clearly dissonant. But this process is not a punishment, it is an invitation to inner healing. The universe, through these experiences, is asking that old standards be released to make room for the new. And this emotional transformation is reflected in the way you live. What was once seen as weakness, as vulnerability, surrender, and compassion, now is recognized as true strength. Energy moves from fear to love, from resistance to flow. And when the need for control dissolves, something even deeper begins to emerge, the release of material strings and the rediscovery of what really has value. With consciousness anchored in the fifth dimension, attachment to material goods loses its strength, and true wealth is measured by experiences, connections, and spiritual growth. This does not mean that money or objects lose value, but that they are no longer the primary source of safety and identity. The illusion that happiness is in accumulating more things dissolves, and a new understanding arises. Abundance is not in possession, but in the ability to align with cosmic flow and manifest what is necessary at the right time. This material detachment does not happen forcibly, but as a natural consequence of the expansion of consciousness. What once seemed essential now is seen as transient. Think of that feeling of cleaning the closet and realizing that many of the things kept for years no longer make sense. Similarly, the soul, when evolving, realizes that certain desires and ambitions are no longer compatible with its new high vibration. Instead of seeking safety in something external, the person finds an unshakable state of peace, regardless of what he has. And the most interesting thing is that by releasing the attachment, the manifestation becomes even more powerful. When there is no fear of lack, abundance flows naturally. The universe responds to the energy of those who already feel complete, bringing exactly what is needed. The paradox is curious. When you stop desperately seeking something, something starts to come to you. And as this harmony with life is strengthened, the signs of the universe become even more evident, paving the way for a keen intuitive perception and a life full of synchronicities. When consciousness expands to the fifth dimension, attachment to the material begins to lose strength. Not because physical goods are wrong, but because it is understood that true abundance is not in accumulation, but in fluidity. The luxurious house, the car of the year, the stuffed bank account, from that has the same weight when one realizes that happiness does not depend on these things. Of course, comfort is still welcome, but it is no longer a final goal and is just a natural reflection of the high vibration. The search moves from having to being. This change of perspective brings an indescribable lightness. Think about the feeling of traveling only with one backpack, taking only the essentials. Life begins to become like this, less about carrying excesses and more about walking with freedom. Items that were previously considered indispensable are seen as accessories. Many people, when reaching this level of consciousness, begin to get rid of objects accumulated over the years, realizing that each thing carries an energy. By detaching, they make room for the new, and not only in the physical sense, but also in the spiritual. But this liberation goes beyond material goods, it also extends to expectations, labels, fixed identities. The need for external validation weakens, and the person begins to guide himself by the inner axis. This detachment brings a state of deep peace, where life flows without resistance, allowing synchronics to become more frequent. And with this new tune with the universe, intuitive perception strengthens itself, paving the way for signs and messages that once went unnoticed. As consciousness rises, intuition strengthens itself and becomes a reliable guide. It is no longer necessary to rationalize all decisions. A simple feeling is enough to indicate the right way. This enlarged perception manifests itself in subtle ways, a feeling that something will happen, an impulse to follow an unexpected direction, or even vivid dreams that bring clear messages. It is as if reality began to communicate directly, eliminating the need for logical explanations for everything. And when intuition aligns with the high vibration of the fifth dimension, synchronics multiply. Suddenly, what seemed coincidence begins to happen so often that it becomes impossible to ignore. You think of someone and, seconds later, that person sends a message. A book that contains exactly the answer you need to come up unexpectedly. Opportunities appear at the exact moment, as if the universe were organizing every detail. None of this is chance, it is confirmed that the connection with the universe is stronger than ever. But to enjoy these signs, it is essential to trust. Often the rational mind tries to discard messages from intuition, labeling them as irrelevant. But the more you follow these subtle impulses, the more multidimensional reality is revealed. And this process leads to something even deeper, the recognition that all experiences, good or challenging, are part of a great process of healing and spiritual development. By accessing the fifth dimension, inner healing is no longer just a desire and becomes an inevitable necessity. Emotional wounds that could previously be ignored now emerge hard, asking for attention and transformation. Expanded consciousness no longer allows to escape negative patterns or ancient repressions. All that needs to be healed manifests itself, whether through dreams, insights, or even real-life challenges. But this is not a punishment, but a valuable opportunity to release what no longer serves and rebuild spiritual energy on a higher level. The healing process can happen in many ways. For some, an intense need for meditation and inner connection arises. For others, transformation comes through therapies, self-knowledge practices, or even lifestyle changes. The truth is that each person has a unique path, but the principle is the same. By recognizing and accepting emotions without resistance, stagnant energy dissolves, making room for a new high vibration. Exercises such as therapeutic writing, Reiki, or even simple gratitude rituals can accelerate this process and bring clarity over what needs to be transformed. And as this cure happens, a new power begins to reveal itself, the ability to shape itself with conscience. If life before it seemed random and full of obstacles, now the understanding arises that everything can be created from the inner state. And when this perception is strengthened, the manifestation of desires ceases to be a mystery and becomes a natural and accessible process. In the fifth dimension, manifestation is not just an abstract concept, but a palpable reality. Everything you think, feel, and believe it gains shape with surprising speed. This is because high consciousness no longer operates in the logic of excessive effort, but in harmony with cosmic flow. One realizes that he doesn't have to run after things, for everything that is aligned with his spiritual energy comes to her at the right time. But for this to happen, it is essential to be aware of what is made to the universe. Thoughts of fear and scarcity create blockages, while gratitude and certainty accelerate the materialization of desires. Conscious manifestation does not only mean attracting material goods, but rather creating a reality where everything flows in a balanced way. Healthier relationships, unexpected opportunities, and even clear signs of the universe often arise. A simple example. Imagine someone who wants a new professional path. If this person maintains limiting doubts and beliefs, it will remain stuck in the same cycle. But if she strengthens her vision with clarity, confidence, and genuine emotion, doors begin to open in unexpected ways. Maybe a random conversation reveals a new opportunity, or once asleep talent begins to stand out. And this perception changes everything. The individual is no longer a passive spectator of life and becomes the conscious creator of his journey. Small miracles begin to become normal, as the mind no longer sees barriers where before it saw limitations. And this creative process, besides transforming personal life, is also reflected in artistic expressions, new ideas and inspirations that flow effortlessly, revealing an unexplored creative potential. With consciousness anchored in a fifth dimension, creativity is no longer just a talent of few and becomes an inexhaustible source of expression. Ideas flow lightly, as if they were blown by the universe itself, and the need for excessive effort disappears. Writers, artists, musicians, and innovative reports that, in this expanded state, creations simply arrive as intuitive downloads. Have you noticed how great geniuses in history talked about moments of sudden inspiration? This is not chance, it is spiritual energy manifesting itself through the connection with the universe. And it is not just art, but a creativity applied to all aspects of life. People who previously felt stuck with monotonous routines begin to see new possibilities. Innovative solutions appear at unexpected times, and that feeling of mental block dissolves. Want an example? Think of someone who always wanted to undertake, but never found the right idea. When intuition strengthens and vibration rises, this person begins to notice signs, find right people, and have insights that once seemed inaccessible. The secret? The mind now operates without limitations. This creative expansion also generates a deep sense of purpose. The person feels a call to express his truth, either through writing, music, dance, or even the way he communicates with the world. Everything becomes an art form, because life is now lived with inspiration and presence. And this state, besides bringing more personal fulfillment, also strengthens the connection with higher dimensions of existence, preparing the way for practices that further elevate vibration. The transition to the fifth dimension does not happen by chance, it requires intention, discipline, and practices that expand consciousness. Meditation, for example, is one of the most powerful tools for dissolving mental blocks and accessing higher perception states. By silencing the mind and connecting with the present moment, the person makes room for deep insights and a high vibration. Techniques such as conscious breathing, creative visualization, and mantras can accelerate this process. Want to start? Try meditating for just 10 minutes when you wake up, focusing on gratitude and connection with the universe. Another essential aspect is the strengthening of intuition. For this, it is important to rely more on internal feelings and pay attention to the subtle signs of the universe. Small daily choices, how to follow a spontaneous impetus, write down recurring dreams, or simply spend more time in contact with nature, they help develop this perception. Moreover, practices such as tarot, intuitive writing, and the use of crystals can be powerful allies for those who want to awaken spiritually. The important thing is not the method, but the intention to be aligned with one's spiritual energy itself. And finally, healthy habits also play a crucial role. The physical body is the vehicle of consciousness, and its vibration can be influenced by food, sleep, and even frequented environments. Reduce the consumption of processed foods, prioritize pure water, and avoid excess negative stimuli, such as alarming news or dense energy people, are simple but transformative steps. As these habits become natural, the perception of time changes, synchronicities increase, and multimedial reality becomes increasingly accessible. And when this happens, the signs that you are already in the fifth dimension become impossible to ignore. Now that you know the signs of the fifth dimension, the question is, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you ignore these insights and keep living on autopilot, or will you start observing your intuition, your synchronics, and how reality responds to your energy? Because the truth is simple, the more you perceive and accept this transformation, the faster your consciousness expands. The choice is yours. And tell me in the comments, which of these signs have you ever noticed in your life? Do you feel your perception of time has changed? That synchronicity is stronger? Or that your intuition is talking louder? I want to know what you have experienced. And if this content has made sense to you, be sure to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share with someone who also needs to understand this process. We are together on this journey of awakening.